Welcome to this new episode, brought to you by Volta 15. In this countdown, we explore some of the strangest, most unbelievable ways people have lost their lives. From absurd accidents to reckless stunts gone wrong, these are the 15 strangest ways to die, all based on real events. Let's begin. Number 15. Death by beard. In 1567, Hans Steininger of Braunau am Austria, was a local celebrity, though not for wealth, power, or heroism. His claim to fame was his massive beard, which measured more than 1.5 meters, nearly 5 feet, in length. Normally, he kept it neatly rolled and tucked into a pocket, but one fateful day, a fire broke out in town. Amid the chaos, Hans rushed out into the streets. In his panic, he forgot to roll up his beard. As he ran, he tripped on his own facial hair, stumbled, and fell violently, breaking his neck. It sounds absurd, but it's true. Hans's beard, the very thing that made him a legend, was also the cause of his death. His beard was even preserved and can still be seen today in a museum in Austria. This bizarre accident reminds us that sometimes vanity can quite literally trip you up. Number 14. Killed by own cane sword. In 1993, Toronto lawyer Gary Hoy became infamous for one of the most ironic deaths in modern history. He loves showing off the strength of the unbreakable glass windows in his office building. His favorite trick? Running at full speed and slamming into them. One summer evening, in front of a group of young interns, he decided to perform his stunt yet again. The glass didn't shatter, but the frame popped out under the impact. Gary plunged 24 floors to his death, still inside the intact pane of glass. Colleagues were horrified, and the incident became a symbol of misplaced bravado. The engineer who designed the windows later confirmed they were indeed unbreakable, but not designed to hold against a human body charging at full speed. Hoy became immortalized in Darwin Award lore, proving that overconfidence can be deadlier than weakness. Number 13. Drowning while proving you can't sink. In 1997, Daniel Jones, a young man in Wales, got into a heated argument with friends at a lakeside party. He insisted that humans were naturally buoyant and that drowning was nearly impossible unless someone was panicking. His friends disagreed. To prove his point, Daniel stripped down and leapt into the deep, cold water. At first, he laughed and floated, but within moments, his body stiffened from the shock of the temperature, and he sank like a stone. His friends thought he was joking until it was too late. Divers recovered his body hours later. What was meant to be a cocky demonstration turned into a fatal mistake. Daniel's tragedy highlights a truth. Water doesn't care about confidence, and hubris is no substitute for common sense. Number 12. Self-decapitation with explosives. In 2008, a Swedish man attempted a dramatic heist by strapping homemade explosives to his body. His goal? To rob a local bank by intimidating staff with the threat of a detonation. But his plan fell apart almost instantly. Before he even reached the doors, the explosives triggered prematurely. The blast decapitated him and scattered debris across the street, leaving bystanders horrified. Investigators later discovered the device was crudely assembled and unstable, making it essentially a suicide vest from the start. Instead of a big score, he became an infamous cautionary tale. His story reflects one of the dumbest forms of overconfidence, thinking you can outsmart both the police and physics with duct tape and explosives. Number 11. Killed by own cactus. Arizona's deserts are home to the giant saguaro cactus, towering up to 40 feet tall and weighing several tons. Locals know better than to mess with them. But in 1982, David Grunman ignored this wisdom. One afternoon near Phoenix, he and a friend took their shotguns into the desert for fun target practice. After blasting away at smaller cacti, David turned his sights on a massive 26-foot-tall saguaro. With several rounds fired, the cactus began to crack. Suddenly, a giant 4-foot limb, likely weighing hundreds of pounds, snapped off and fell directly onto him, crushing him to death. Locals called it cactus justice. To this day, desert dwellers tell Grunman's story as a grim reminder. Nature has its own way of striking back when disrespected. Number 10. Death by beard oil fire. Beards have always been a fashion statement, but in 2005, one man in the UK took grooming to a dangerous level. He was known for using specialized oils and balms to keep his long beard shiny and soft. Unfortunately, these products were highly flammable. While relaxing at home, he lit a cigarette, not realizing some oil had soaked into his shirt and beard. In seconds, the fire spread across his face and upper body. Neighbors rushed to help, but the burns were too severe. He died later in the hospital. The case became a tragic example of how everyday vanity can turn deadly. Most beard products today come with warning labels about flammability, but for this man, the discovery came too late. Number 9. Died choking on a cockroach. In 2012, Edward Archbold, a 32-year-old from Florida, entered a bizarre contest at a reptile store. Whoever ate the most cockroaches, worms, and bugs would win a free exotic snake. Edward was determined to win. He downed dozens of giant cockroaches while the crowd cheered him on. But soon after, he began gagging violently. Within minutes, he collapsed. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital, but he was pronounced dead. The cause? He had choked on insect parts, blocking his airway. Ironically, he did win the contest. The pet snake was awarded to him posthumously. His death stands as one of the strangest examples of how far people will go for a prize that, in hindsight, really wasn't worth it. Number 8. Death by vending machine. Most people see vending machines as harmless conveniences. But between the 1970s and 1990s, dozens of reports surfaced of people being crushed to death by them. One notorious case occurred in 1985 when a college student became frustrated after a soda got stuck. Instead of giving up, he decided to rock the heavy machine back and forth. The 300-kilogram unit tipped forward and fell on him, pinning him to the ground. By the time rescuers arrived, it was too late. The tragedy shocked schools into posting warning labels on vending machines. Never rock or tilt. Serious injury or death can occur. It's a chilling reminder that impatience can be lethal. Number 7. Electrocuted by peeing on a power line. Sometimes the dumbest accidents are also the most preventable. In 1991, a man in Brazil was walking home drunk late at night when he decided to relieve himself against a power pole. What he didn't realize was that a live wire was hanging loose. His urine stream created a conductive path, and electricity surged through his body. Witnesses said he collapsed instantly. It may sound like an urban legend, but it really happened, and has since been used as a cautionary tale about mixing alcohol, recklessness, and electricity. Number 6. Killed by own coffin demonstration. In 1999, a funeral director in England wanted to promote a new safety coffin. These coffins were designed with mechanisms, bells, breathing tubes, or alarms to prevent people from being buried alive in case of mistaken death. To show customers how reliable it was, he climbed inside, locked it, and told his assistant to leave him for a few hours. Unfortunately, the device malfunctioned. By the time anyone checked back, he had suffocated inside his own invention. The grim irony wasn't lost on the public. A man trying to prevent premature burials became the victim of exactly what he feared most. Number 5. Death by ballooning accident. In the early 20th century, aviation pioneers were desperate to test new flying devices. One of them was Franz Reichelt, a tailor and inventor in Paris. He believed he had created a parachute suit that would allow a man to safely float from great heights. In 1912, he announced he would test it himself by leaping from the Eiffel Tower. Hundreds gathered to watch. Reichelt, wearing his bulky invention, climbed the railing and hesitated. But his pride pushed him forward. He jumped, yet the parachute barely opened. In seconds, he plummeted over 180 feet, hitting the frozen ground below. The crowd gasped in horror. Tragically, the experiment not only failed, but was captured on film, immortalizing his fatal attempt. Reichelt became known as the Flying Tailor, remembered not for success, but for one of the dumbest public stunts in history. Number 4, choking on a playing card. In 1978, an amateur magician named Paul went to a party in New York and decided to show off his endurance skills. After impressing friends with simple tricks, he boasted he could swallow an entire deck of playing cards, one by one. At first, everyone laughed, assuming he would stop after a few cards. But Paul kept going, forcing card after card down his throat. By the time he reached the last handful, his gag reflex fought back. He began to choke violently. Despite frantic efforts to help, he suffocated before paramedics could arrive. Witnesses described the scene as both shocking and surreal. What started as a silly bet became a deadly act of bravado. The tragedy proved that sometimes the most foolish dares are also the most lethal. We are now moving on to the top 3 of the list. If you have made it this far, please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to Volta 15. Number 3, death by Segway cliff. The Segway was once hyped as the future of personal transportation. Ironically, its own company owner, Jimmy Heselden, became its most tragic victim. In 2010, while testing a rugged Segway model near his estate in Yorkshire, England, Heselden maneuvered along a dirt path near a steep cliff. Something went wrong. The machine veered off course, and both man and scooter plunged over 30 feet into a river below. News outlets worldwide reported the bitter irony. The man who had invested millions into Segway technology had been killed by the very invention he promoted. It remains one of the strangest examples of technology turning against its creator. Number 2, dying during a laugh attack. In 1975, 50-year-old Alex Mitchell from England settled in to watch an episode of The Goodies, a popular British comedy show. The sketch was silly, Scottish soldiers fighting with bagpipes. But for Alex, it was hysterical. He began laughing uncontrollably. Minutes passed, and his wife grew concerned as his laughter turned wheezy. After nearly 25 minutes of nonstop laughter, Alex collapsed on the sofa. Despite his wife's attempts to revive him, he died of heart failure. Doctors concluded that the prolonged stress of laughter had triggered his heart condition. His wife later wrote to the show, thanking them for giving Alex such a joyful final moment, even if it cost him his life. Number 1, selfie with a loaded gun. In our modern age, vanity has claimed more lives than we'd like to admit. In 2016, a 21-year-old Russian man tried to impress his friends with a selfie holding a loaded handgun. He positioned the weapon next to his temple, smiling for the camera. But as he pressed the shutter button, his finger slipped and pulled the trigger. The gun fired, killing him instantly. The story shocked the world and became a chilling warning about the dangers of mixing deadly weapons with social media trends. What should have been a photo for likes turned into one of the dumbest, most tragic ways to die. And that concludes our countdown of the 15 strangest ways people have actually died. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes reality is stranger and far more tragic than fiction. We hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching. And remember, truth is in the list.